We were sailing off the coast, and the ship started taking on water fast. I was frantic, urging my husband to abandon ship, but he ran below deck instead of jumping into the lifeboat. I couldn't fathom why he wouldn't leave, and panic gripped me tighter with every passing second. Turns out, what he was hiding down there was something I never could have imagined. But before we start, smash the like button, subscribe, and don't forget the notification bell so you never miss any of our upcoming stories. The sun was shining brightly, casting a warm glow over the water. My husband and I were sailing peacefully, enjoying the serene beauty around us. It was the kind of day that felt almost magical, the wind ruffling our hair as we laughed about the little thing. Everything seemed perfect. My husband's easy smile made me forget all my worries, even if just for those delightful hours on the sea. As we sailed farther, a group of friends in a nearby boat caught sight of us. They first waved at us energetically. "Hey there, beautiful day, huh?" One of them shouted across the water. We waved back with matching enthusiasm, laughing as the boats bobbed gently. Their cheerfulness was contagious, making the day feel even brighter. The ocean began to change its tune as the day wore on. The once gentle waves were becoming more insistent, slapping against our boat. "Are you worried?" I asked, trying to read his expression. My husband shook his head confidently. "Nah, just a little choppy, that's all," he said reassuringly. I nodded, trusting his judgment, even as I gripped the side of the boat a little tighter. It was just a few minutes later when I spotted a small yet troubling leak near the boat's side. Water was trickling in faster than I expected. "We've got a leak," I called out, trying to keep my voice steady. My heart thumped anxiously as I assessed the damage. It was minor now, but I knew things could change quickly at sea. In a flash, my husband dashed below deck. I was left standing, puzzled and alone. "Where are you going? We need to leave," I shouted after him. His actions were baffling, leaving me uneasy. The water situation was critical, and yet there he was, disappearing below as if that was the most natural thing. The sound of the ocean rose in my ears while I paused, unsure of what to do next. Without any delay, I grabbed the radio and attempted to call for assistance. Static and weak crackling greeted me. "Hello? We need help," I nearly pleaded, hoping for a response. Frustration began to creep in as I struggled with the weak signal. The realization hit me that we might be too far out. I was torn between trying again and figuring out how to handle the situation at hand. Deciding to take action, I grabbed a bucket and began scooping water out as fast as I could. Each splash barely made a difference, but I kept going, determined to stay afloat. I aimed to keep our spirits above the rising threat. With every heave, I hoped my husband would soon return. To my relief, my husband finally emerged from below. "Everything will be okay soon," he said, trying to reassure me with a calm voice. I wanted to believe him. His confidence always provided comfort in difficult situations. Yet, I couldn't shake the feeling that things were spiraling. Despite his attempts at reassurance, it was clear the boat was taking on more water with each passing minute. My attempts at bailing water started to feel futile. "We need to abandon ship," I insisted, my voice edging on panic. The situation was becoming dire, and I felt trapped between trusting his calm certainty and the reality of our predicament. My patience was wearing thin as I waited for action. Desperation had taken hold as I frantically waved my arms, trying to get the attention of any passing boat. My voice was hoarse from yelling over the sound of the waves. "Help! We need help over here!" The urgency in my voice was unmistakable, yet the boats kept their distance, unaware of our predicament. The situation was turning more critical by the minute, and I wondered how we'd make it through. Amidst the chaos, a nearby sailor named Greg peered over from his boat. I noticed him squinting in the sun, trying to make sense of our waving. Without hesitation, he alerted his crewmates, and soon they were steering over toward us. Our hopes lifted with every yard they closed. "Hang in there," Greg called out, his voice resonating over the choppy ambiance of the sea. Greg's boat pulled alongside ours as he tossed us a line. I hastily grabbed it. The waves were rising, and time felt like an enemy. "Quick, tie it to the bow," Greg instructed with urgency. My hands were shaking, but I managed to secure the ropes tightly. There was a slight sense of relief knowing another boat was alongside us now, ready to lend a much-needed hand. With our boats finally connected, I felt a small comfort. I told Greg about the leak and my husband's peculiar behavior. "He's acting like there's more than water at stake," I confided, hoping for any advice he could offer. Greg nodded, eyes solemn with understanding. "We'll stay and help you," he promised, his words anchoring me amid the storm of my worries. To my surprise, my husband emerged once more, yet his demeanor was different, steadfast and unyielding. "We're not leaving," he declared. His resolve was impressive, albeit frustrating as I couldn't comprehend his reasoning. Panic still gripped me, but his eyes showed nothing but determination. Could there be something he wasn't telling me? Fear gnawed at my insides as I faced him. "This isn't worth the risk," I pleaded, but he stood firm. His silence spoke volumes, leaving me immensely confused. I turned to Greg, seeking support in the struggle to leave before it was too late. The tension was as thick as the sea air around us. Seeing the urgency of the situation, Greg offered a lifeline. "Come onto our boat," he urged, emphasizing the danger increasing with every wave. His urgency matched mine, a united front trying to pull my husband from whatever invisible force held him here. Despite the knot in my stomach, I hoped this offer would tip my husband's scale towards safety, Frustration edged my voice as I pleaded again. "Why are you doing this? We're at risk!" My voice trembled, fear lacing each word. The sea was an unforgiving witness to our predicament. I hoped something in my husband's steady gaze would soften. It was like talking to a wall of determination, unyielding and stubbornly set in stone. Avoiding my query, my husband focused on tightening ropes and reinforcing structures. His hands worked rapidly, moving with a knowing urgency that only confused me more. "We need to hold on," he mumbled, providing no clear answer. My questions fell unanswered, hovering in the salty air. Each tick of time was a reminder of the pressing waters beneath us, threatening to engulf our little world. Fury bubbled inside me. I thought about leaving him to his madness on this sinking vessel. It would be so simple to step onto Greg's boat and sail into safety. Yet, the invisible tether held me too, tied to his unfathomable resolve. It's hard to abandon someone you deeply care about, even when you can't fathom their choices. Caught in this impasse, I hesitated, torn between love and logic. The sky shifted from clear to dauntingly dark as thick clouds rolled in. Their ominous presence cast a shadow over our struggling boat. Thunder growled like an angry beast above us, a constant reminder of the storm's proximity. "We've got to hurry!" I yelled at my husband, unable to keep the panic from seeping into my voice. The storm was building fast, warning us of the brewing trouble. As if on cue, rain started pouring down, each drop landing heavily, echoing the alarm in my heart. I felt my breath quicken, matching the rhythm of the rain. "This is getting bad," I shouted to Greg, who was trying to help from his boat. The rain mingled with the seawater washing over our feet, a stark reminder of our dire situation. We needed to act quickly, but I felt pinned down by fear. "Michelle, listen, be smart about this." Greg's voice cut through the chaos, urging sense and speed. He stood firm, his brows knitted with concern as the storm battered his boat alongside ours. "Your safety matters more than anything down there." His words were a lifeline tugging at my resolve, trying desperately to pull me from the stormy grip the situation held me in. Even yelling felt like a struggle amidst the noise. With urgency pushing me, I scrambled to grab some flares stored on the boat. Each step felt heavier, water sloshing around my ankles as I moved. I managed to set one off, the bright spark burning through the gray downpour. "Please let them see this," I mumbled, hoping more help would notice our predicament. The flare's light fought against the storm, a beacon begging for attention amid utter chaos. Amidst the storm, my husband stood undeterred, calculating how to save what was below deck. His demeanor was strangely focused. While I wrestled with the thought of leaving, he seemed absorbed in resolving the situation. What on earth could be so important? I muttered to myself, bewildered at his concentrated actions as he braved the growing storm. The boat shook with the storm's anger, but it was a bolt of lightning that froze everything for a heartbeat. In that flash of light, I caught a glimpse of the churning sea, boats tossing like toys in the expanse. Greg was a silhouette of steadiness beside me, yelling directions I could barely infer. His voice mingled with the thunder, a fleeting clarity amidst the chaos as we fought to stay together. Crackling through the static, the Coast Guard finally radioed in. The voice on the other end brought both a sliver of hope and pressing urgency. "We need details now," they demanded, trying to get a clear picture of the emergency. I fumbled to give them the information, voice stumbling over panic and the storm's fury. Despite everything, hearing that voice felt like a lifeline thrown into our terror-swept world. "We're in trouble here," I explained quickly, but my frustration only grew. I was upset with my husband's reluctance to leave the boat. His priorities were unclear, and every second wasted felt critical. Why won't he listen? I vented, both to myself and anyone tuned in, clutching tightly to the radio. Doubt and concern strangled each word as I battled to make sense of his determination. Ignoring my mounting frustration, my husband shook his head as if he were warding off doubt. "There's something important down there," he shouted over the storm, his voice unyielding. That cryptic remark was all he offered, a puzzle piece that didn't fit. The relentless wind and rain blurred the lines of reason. His assurance baffled me. Our lives should have been the priority, yet he was unwavering about whatever needed protection below deck. Greg adjusted the rope securing our boats. His experience showed as he ensured both vessels remained steady, a soothing comfort amid the storm's tantrum. "We've got you, Michelle," he assured, eyes fixed on the rolling sea. With his calm competence beside me, I felt a flicker of calmness through the rising storm inside and out. A storm shared with someone steady was slightly easier to weather. Standing on the deck, I couldn't help but feel torn. My husband was so silent and determined, yet fear was bubbling inside me like never before. Every now and then, I'd catch him glancing over the side of the boat, his eyes scanning the choppy waters. I wanted to trust him, but but it felt like the boat was sinking faster each minute. "Are you really sure about staying?" I dared to ask. With the situation growing worse by the second, I decided I couldn't sit back any longer. "Why won't you tell me what's going on?" My voice was desperate, cutting through the howling wind. His gaze shifted to me, but he only shook his head. "Please, just trust me this time. I know what I'm doing," he replied, evading any real explanation. I could see his mind was elsewhere, lost in whatever secret he held. Dodging my questions, my husband kept insisting, "You have to trust my instincts." It felt ridiculous, being asked to rely on judgment I couldn't understand. The sea surrounding us wasn't forgiving, and neither was my mounting anxiety. "We're running out of time," I pressed. Still, his focus was elsewhere, determination etched on every line of his face as if holding something more precious than our safety. Taking a moment, Greg turned to me and acknowledged the intensity of the situation. "Michelle, I get how you feel. It's terrifying," he said, his voice both gentle and firm. His gaze shifted to my husband, understanding the stubbornness there too. "But you have every right to worry," Greg continued, validating the chaotic storm within me. Amidst the growing tension, his words were a small island of sanity. A massive wave crashed against the hull, jolting everyone on board. The sheer force reminded me of our ticking clock, urging me to act quickly. I glanced at Greg. He mirrored my concern. "We're past arguing now," he shouted. "We need a plan." But my husband was unwavering, distracted by whatever gripped him below deck. The storm raged as I begged my husband for answers, but his calm, cryptic reply, "We hold on, and we hold tight," offered little comfort. A glimmer of hope came when the Coast Guard signaled they were on their way. Greg prepared for evacuation, steady and composed, while my husband remained distant, fixated on something in the storage area. As the waves rose, his secretive behavior gnawed at me. Greg urged us to leave, but my husband wouldn't budge. Torn between loyalty and survival, I tried to steady myself, whispering, "Keep it together, Michelle." The chaos outside matched the storm within, and time was running out. The Coast Guard's lights broke through the storm, a beacon of salvation. Relief surged through me as Greg cheered, but my husband's focus stayed fixed below deck. "Please, it's time," I begged, but his stubbornness held firm. The rescuers shouted for evacuation. Greg reached out, urging us to safety, and I finally took charge, rallying everyone to prepare. Still, my husband hesitated, muttering, "Almost got it," as the waves crashed harder. "What's going on?" I cried. His brief glance carried a secret I couldn't name. The Coast Guard pressed us to move, but as ropes tightened and the sea raged, I realized our rescue might save our bodies. But not everything we stood to lose. The storm quieted just enough for truth to surface. "Please, tell me what's going on," I begged. But my husband hesitated, torn between fear and duty. "There are things we can't leave behind," he finally admitted, his voice low. Frustration rose in me. What could matter more than survival? Greg overheard, offering a steadying hand and calm reassurance as the Coast Guard called out orders, urging us towards safety. Tension rippled through the air as my husband disappeared below deck once more. Greg and I waited, hearts pounding, while the Coast Guard readied for extraction. "We need to decide together," I said, my voice trembling with urgency. Lightning flickered, boats rocked, and Greg's quiet strength grounded us. Still, the seconds dragged as I prayed for my husband to return. Finally, through the fading rain, he emerged, drenched but triumphant. Clutched in his hands was a small, weathered heirloom, his family's legacy. "It's been in my family for generations," he said softly, the storm's fury replaced by something deeper. In that fragile calm, I understood. What he fought to save wasn't just an object, it was a piece of his soul. The heirloom left me breathless. It was his reason all along. In that moment, I understood. "I didn't know," I whispered, my anger fading into empathy. "I had to try," he said, emotion breaking through his calm. Tears mixed with rain as Greg murmured, "We made it." Together, we followed the Coast Guard's lead, the storm fading behind us. We had saved both our lives and his family's legacy. Thank you for watching. If you like this story, don't forget to hit the like button, subscription, and ring the notification bell so you never miss our upcoming story.